Get on the ground, dude. Hey. Get down! Get down!
Today, caught on camera, shots ring out in a Los Angeles alley as officers confront a scantily clad suspect accused of robbing a local donut shop. Then, Sky 5 over a pursuit termination in Marina del Rey. Dozens of officers surround an alleged domestic violence suspect who may have others in the car.
All right, they got the word that this guy is approachable.
Their standoff on the shoulder. And in downtown LA, a stolen bright blue Camaro weaves through traffic, putting lives on the line. Will officers bring an end to the chase before it's too late?
We're just shouting at the TV with anxiety, wondering, what is this person doing?
When every second counts and every decision could be life or death. Watch these incidents unfold from KTLA's Eye in the Sky and the body cameras of those who risk it all. This is Caught on Camera.
Hey!
3:25 a.m., May 28, 2025. Early morning or late night, depending on how you look at it. An officer-involved shooting occurs in an alley in Harvard Heights. The events kicked off when LAPD officers in the Olympic Division are called to respond to a bizarre robbery in progress.
Es que estamos aquí en el que está en la Western y la 18. Aquí llegó alguien con pistola queriendo asaltar a los de aquí en la Western y 18.
La Western.
Y 18, Western y 18.
Señor, ¿todavía están ahí ahorita?
Aquí está el señor con la pistola.
Okay,
Yo me salí para afuera para pedir auxilio.
Ok, dame un momento, ok? Déjame hablar con la patrulla.
Dispatch puts out the radio broadcast. Patrol officers told to respond Code 3 with lights and sirens.
Olympic Unit 211 in progress, Western and 18th Street. Standby for further. Code 3 incident 444. Olympic Units, additionally at 211 in progress, Western and 18th Street. The suspects inside the armed with a handgun, male, black, wearing a green shirt, pink pants, and a hat. Code 3 incident 444. Additional incident 444.
Law enforcement now en route, but towards what? Video captured from nearby security cameras gives part of the story. Cameras roll as a scantily clad suspect enters the Windchills Donut House on Southwestern Avenue. 41-year-old Christopher Hall approaches the counter and pulls what appears to be a handgun from his bag. Hall becomes more and more animated with the donut shop employee. Meanwhile, patrons can't help but notice, staring at and sneaking pictures of the man in the sundress and bikini bottom. The gun and apparent calls to open the register not doing the trick. The suspect pulls a blade from his bag. The action moves behind the counter. An employee seen sprinting into the kitchen, frantically rummaging through her purse, pulling out what appears to be pepper spray. Just in time, too, as Hall rounds the corner, his gun in hand. An intense tete-a-tete ensues. An employee appears to deploy her pepper spray. Hall returns fire, not with his drawn gun, but with a tray of cinnamon rolls within arm's reach. Next move to two employees who toss cash at Hall. The altercation becoming increasingly violent as they use a cart to ram the robber as he hits back and attempts to collect as much cash as he can before fleeing. His gun, strangely, never fired. Outside the Windchills, the suspect hobbles down the street. A customer follows behind, throwing a chair, but missing. Upon arrival to the scene, officers are alerted by witnesses, as well as an LAPD helicopter, that Hall has run from the donut shop to an adjacent apartment complex, proceeding to a narrow pathway north of the building.
Hey! He's over here. Honey, what's the bag? Where is he? Get out! Yeah. ¿Dónde se fue? ¿Estás bien? Airship, I think he ran into the parking lot of the U-Haul.
On the north side of this building, in between
Okay, right here. Hey, hey, hey! Get up back! Get back! Hey! He got him! Hey! He's right here! Drop the gun! Okay, I see him. Roger, I got the suspect right here in between the building. He's wearing a green shirt, black pants. Get over here! Hey! Get out of there! Hey! Get over here! Get over here! You're gonna get shot! Hey, wait! I got suspect right! Let me see your hands! Hey! It's coming towards you! Hey! Get on the ground, dude! Hey! Get down! Get down! Officer needs help! Shots fired! Get down! Officer needs help! Put it down! Get down! Get down! Officer needs help! Shots fired!
Take a closer look as officers give Hall verbal commands to drop the handgun. The cornered suspect instead points his gun right back and shots ring out. The critical moments also captured on a second officer's body cam.
Wearing a green shirt, black pants. Get over here! Hey! Get out of there! Hey! Get over here! Get over here! Hey! Hey! Move! 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 Move!
The ringing out of gunshots not the end of this story, as the bullets miss Hall, who drops his gun and hops the fence in hopes of fleeing to freedom. If only more officers weren't already waiting on the other side.
Come here!
He doesn't have anything in his hand.
Let me see!
Get down! Get down! Don't move! Don't move! Don't move! You're gonna get tased again!
Breathe.
Don't move! You're gonna get tased again! Do not move! Get your hands behind your back!
You shot me! I'm shot!
No, you're not.
The 41-year-old suspect is taken by paramedics to be treated for injuries sustained as a result of the taser deployment. Back at the scene, officers recover a knife and the gun, which turns out to be an airsoft replica. The LA County District Attorney's Office charges Christopher Hall with 2 counts of robbery and 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon other than a firearm. While Hall is not ultimately shot, the LAPD will continue to investigate and analyze the use of force, determining whether the tactics were warranted. Meanwhile, Christopher Hall, his Windchills robbery, and run-in with police are all caught on camera.
You shot me! I'm shot!
No, you're not.
Breaking news on a gloomy Friday morning. An erratic high-speed pursuit is in progress.
We started in Hollywood Division, this white Mustang. It could be a domestic violence, maybe a victim in the car. We haven't heard for sure. We don't know about any injuries or any other accidents. There's a police helicopter on the scene. Again, this started in Hollywood Division. We're just north of LAX, south on the 405. He's been on and off the freeway, both directions. And now he's making a right-hand turn. He's committed to the 90 freeway westbound. That'll take him to downtown Santa Monica or close to it. He's been driving at a pretty, look at that, all that lane changing right there. So he may see what he's going to do. The car is staying under control, and he's been usually traffic speeds going up and down the freeway, but he has stepped on the gas here a little bit.
A possible domestic violence suspect in that fast-moving Mustang. The chase, already 40 minutes old when Sky 5 joins, began at Franklin Avenue and Hollywood Boulevard. It's now approaching Santa Monica. The driver making wild changes and swerving turns, possibly an attempt to bait pursuing officers to get off the freeway. As the driver approaches the off-ramp at Mindanao Way, the once empty highway becomes more crowded.
And he's coming up very close to this car on the off the left shoulder, near the marina. He's got some cross traffic ahead at the intersection, and he's stopped. Let's see what happens here if he's going to bail. Okay, they're going to try to. Okay, almost a crash right there. So this guy is not paying attention to anybody else. He's really damaged, or look at this, off the road, past that sign. He's just causing all kinds of havoc here.
The Mustang now stopped on the shoulder as 1, 2, 3, 4 black and whites quickly pull up behind. LAPD Air 10 up above as even more patrol vehicles and officers swarm the scene like ants at a picnic.
So what is the protocol here now? What will these officers try and do at this point?
Depending on if they have any information about a victim being in the car or the suspect being armed or anything other than a family dispute or a domestic violence, they'll take every precaution they can to have the driver throw those keys out the left side of the car and step out of the car. Whether the suspect's able to hear him or not, that's another thing. So they've got the car surrounded. Hopefully he's not going to take off again, but it would be a felony stop, so the driver gets out first, walks backwards, and then they would clear the car depending on any other suspects in the car. They've got tinted windows in the back, so it'll be tough to see if anybody else is in the car. But right now the driver for sure, they're giving him directions via the PA on the black and white cruiser, and see if he'll cooperate, get out of the car, maybe put this thing to an end.
Right.
A final trickle of vehicles sneak by the scene before officers are able to close the off-ramp to through traffic. Meanwhile, officers use cover and concealment methods to protect themselves as they congregate behind the stalled Mustang, more and more rushing to the scene. Moments later, the driver of the Mustang, appearing visibly frustrated at the dozens of officers nearby, emerges from the vehicle.
Looks like the driver's side is getting out, or the driver's side door is opening. We're pulling back just a little bit. Viewer discretion advised here. Again, we don't know if he's armed or if there's any weapons or any other crime other than domestic violence or a domestic dispute.
You mentioned earlier that right now time is really on the officer's side, and as we watch them and all the activity below, it seems pretty calm, but this is still a very tense situation. You have no idea what that driver may be thinking about doing next inside that vehicle.
You know, you're absolutely right, and it's tense because we don't know who else is in the car. You can see those tinted windows. It may just be the driver, it may be a family member, or maybe a victim. We don't know that, and the officers are the ones that are going to be able to tell, but we don't know if they've been able to make any kind of contact.
The driver gets back into the Mustang, shutting the door behind him. Is he planning to re-engage the chase? Would the amassing law enforcement presence allow him to?
A ton of black and whites here, both from Hollywood and the Pacific Division. He's not going anywhere that we think of. They've got plenty of law enforcement resources. Just a matter of when this suspect decides to cooperate, get out of the car.
The minutes tick by. The driver and a possible passenger sit in the Mustang, stalled in that dirt off-ramp shoulder. Officers are bunched together, feet behind. An abandoned car is stuck in the middle of it all. And what's that in the parking lot nearby?
Looking over in that parking lot, that white van just pulled up and it's slightly ahead of the vehicle, and some people got out. Is that more law enforcement, or who is that? Looky-loos, it looks like, Glenn. Not smart.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to get a look at it. It looks like there's a block wall or something, so they've got some cover there in case anything goes south. The officers are staying behind the cars. That's called concealment, not necessarily cover, because they couldn't protect themselves from any gunfire, but certainly concealed, and there's enough of them to surround the car if they had to. Right now it's static because the suspect is not giving up. The only positive sign is he's opened the door a couple of times, maybe decided he doesn't want to get out of the car just yet.
The standoff remains static, albeit minor motion on the driver's side, the suspect opening and closing the door as he considers his next move. Law enforcement also weighing theirs, their response impacted by whether the suspect is armed or whether he's even alone. Could a domestic violence victim be in the Mustang with him? Could there be kids inside? Hard to know given the tinted windows.
If they believe that the suspect is armed and he will not leave the car, and a crime has occurred, whether it be a misdemeanor or a felony, that's the kind of a prima facie case for the watch commander to call the SWAT team.
Talk of a potential SWAT call appears to be premature, as seconds later, the Mustang's door opens one final time.
Maybe at this point he will get out. Certainly hope so, because, leading up to this point when we picked this up, just before 11 o'clock, I mean, this guy or this driver was driving in excess of 100 miles per hour on the 405 freeway, going between cars, going up on the shoulder, anything he could do to get away. And unfortunately, he made the mistake of turning on the 90 freeway or the Marina freeway, which basically turns into a surface street at the very end.
As Sky 5 slowly pulls out, revealing the massive police presence on the Mindanao Way off-ramp, officers make their move.
And now they're moving
in.
All right, they got the word that this guy is approachable, and you can see they're taking him into custody. Here's a question that a lot of folks want to know. Why does it take so many officers to take one suspect into custody? Okay, are they pulling somebody out of the other side? Is that a victim or is that another suspect? Looks like a female. So why does it take so many cops? It's never an easy job even to arrest one person and take them into custody. All they have to do is resist a little bit, and it is the job is on trying to get this guy in custody. Looks like they're wrestling with him on the ground. They're going to get those handcuffs on him, do a quick pat-down search, and put him in that police car, take him to Hollywood Station or Pacific Station. Is there anybody else getting out of the car? No, looks like one female. So that may have been the victim of the dispute. Is that the female right there or the male? The woman. Okay, so they're going to take her statements, get her safely removed, and keep her in that car, and then start their investigation. But the pursuit is over. It's stopped.
The standoff stopped, but the suspect's fight is far from over. He resists with all his might as multiple officers pin him against a fence, patting him down for weapons before they plan to get him in a patrol car. Meanwhile, a moment of levity as amid the chaos, a driver who had been forced to abandon his car in the initial moments of the standoff tiptoes towards his car, getting inside and escaping from the scene. Back to the main attraction, the still combative domestic violence suspect now apprehended after evading police for more than an hour.
Everybody's calm, cool, and collected. Handcuffs are on him. They want to make sure they lock those handcuffs up so they don't hurt his wrists. I would imagine they've already done a quick pat down to make sure for weapons. But he's not moving very friendly. He is still quite aggressive. So they're just going to get him in the car, and hopefully he'll cool down by the time he gets to the station, and they can piece through this and figure out what's going on.
After a lengthy struggle, the suspect is finally placed in the squad car. As the evidence collection begins, law enforcement looking for anything to get to the bottom of this case, which began in Hollywood and ended across town near Marina del Rey. One suspect is in custody, a passenger detained and questioned, the pursuit and standoff now terminated. The entire incident caught on camera.
Look at him. He's going to try to squeeze through. He's already hit that CHP unit. He's going to tap that vehicle. Look at that. He's going to push him out of the way. Unbelievable. Almost like a pitman over there, just moving that car to get away. Unbelievable. That innocent driver not knowing what's going on. All of a sudden, this guy comes up and hits you like that. And now he's going to go westbound here on Venice Boulevard. High rate of speed yet again.
A dangerous situation unfolding on the streets of downtown LA as the driver of a stolen Camaro weaves through traffic, narrowly avoiding car after car as he drives erratically to avoid capture.
Wow, look at that move. Running red lights, down the double yellows. Again, wrong side of the road. We'll try to get a look inside the vehicle if we can, but he's going to have heavy traffic yet again, another signal. Nowhere to go.
Traffic, both vehicle and pedestrian, starting to pick up as rush hour nears, creating obstacles for the fleeing suspect, as well as for ground units attempting to make chase as the pursuit moves aggressively towards the 10 freeway.
We're in here shocked. We're just shouting at the TV with anxiety, wondering what is this person doing, going head on into oncoming traffic, nearly hitting people in a crosswalk, pushing a car out of the way. And so far, the highest I've seen is 82 miles an hour in a residential area. This is so dangerous.
Oh, it is very dangerous.
As the Camaro barrels down the eastbound 10, threading the needle between slow-moving trucks, we get our first look at a second person in the car, a passenger's outstretched hand revealing itself through the window. Meanwhile, the driver continues undeterred, barely scraping by the freeway barriers as he looks for any and every possible option to keep going.
This driver using every bit of space on the freeway to get by. We'll see what he does here as he comes up to an off-ramp. He's got the gore point. He's committed to that off-ramp, and now we'll be on surface streets yet again here in downtown LA.
After exiting the 10 on Maple Avenue, this pursuit, which began in Gardena, where the suspect reportedly used the stolen car to ram into officers, is now back on the streets of downtown LA, navigating around innocent drivers, massive skyscrapers, and unsuspecting cyclists as it races down narrow city streets.
In this situation, the driver's driving so fast, going the opposite direction at times. It's very difficult for those ground units to try to get him in behind it and, get back into the pursuit of it.
Right.
So they will likely just continue to track it. They've gone into the vehicles now in the central division of LAPD. So we're listening to that, the airship and the dispatchers talking about the direction of travel of the vehicle. Here we are on Olympic again. He's been on Olympic before, but westbound this time. And look at this cross traffic. He's going to go right against the traffic. And he's going to go on that one-way southbound on Flower here. So trying to weave his way in and out. The problem for this driver is wherever he goes, there's traffic everywhere.
Traffic everywhere. The light blue Camaro sticking out like a sore thumb as it passes and cuts off rows of dull white, gray, and black cars, picking his path at high speeds with no apparent rhyme or reason.
Just have to ask, what is LAPD doing at this moment, knowing that this driver is now allegedly the suspect of an assault with a deadly weapon against a CHP officer?
Yeah, so right now our best friend in this is the airships. It's with the traffic and the erratic driving. I would imagine that the ground units are having a difficult time keeping up with this.
Watch that again. The blue Camaro speeds down Olive Street. As it approaches another brightly colored Camaro, it maneuvers around 3 other cars with ease before disappearing into a parking garage at 805 Olive Street.
Now they're going to put up a perimeter, hopefully get in contact with the security personnel at this parking complex, keep eyes on the suspect, get the officers in contact with hopefully a witness and try to identify the suspect with that. It looks like on a complex like this, there's going to have secured entrance on, so for him to get inside the building is going to be extremely difficult. So hopefully they'll be there in time and apprehend the suspect inside the parking structure.
Sky 5 stays over the parking structure. Meanwhile, chaos on the ground as police officers work to establish a perimeter and prepare for a possible foot search. This as reports suggest 2 suspects were taken into custody inside that downtown garage. For now, what we have is their dangerous pursuit caught on camera.